we were talking about it again for 3 years, me and Harry, meeting up every couple of months, getting ready for the next shoot, or just to, you know, chat. And really, we didn't chat too much about the film. We just talked about life and like our different perspectives and how we see the world, films, things like this. So we just get to know each other and know, you know, what we like what each other like and what we respond to. And yeah, we did a lot of that. And then closer to the actual shoot, when we actually really came close to shooting, we rehearsed for a couple of days. So we did a few full-on rehearsals, and we just went through the film scene by scene, talked about it, just went on and on about it until we were both comfortable. And I'm so glad I did that, because on the actual day, you don't have time. Well, we didn't have time. I didn't have time to go up to Harry and whisper into his ear and inspire him or do anything like that. It was very technical. It was kind of like, we need to have you look over there, close your mouth a little bit in this one. It was that sort of rush. And I'm just glad that we talked to him. He would have done perfectly well without me talking to him anyway. But it was good that we had rehearsed, because then on the shoot, he kind of already knew what was expected. And we just kind of had to look at each other to know what was wrong. But it was it's good to have a good technical actor when you're shooting films like this, because the whole thing is just, you know, hitting your marks, standing in the light, you know, moving a certain way, looking a certain direction, and all of these sort of little things that, you know, some actors just couldn't handle, but he did great. We didn't have a first AD for the second shoot, which was 4 days. So me and Carl were essentially doing the creative stuff and then also yelling at people and trying to move it like that as well. So it became this machine that was like kind of mixed with the creative side, and then, you know, everyone doing what they're told, and the gaffer working and camera assistants. It felt like it was just like this one big machine, which was great. That's what I love so much about working on a film, is just kind of creating this thing that just won't stop. Like nothing would stop us on some days until, you know, we got kicked out. Yeah, on the last day of shooting it, in one of the halls, we hadn't finished shooting the last scene, and we were just about to start shooting the last scene of the film and the last thing of the shoot, and the owner of the club come in and said, "Get out." And we hadn't finished shooting, so we just closed the door on him and just shot in the room.
So you kept filming?
We just kept filming, and I was just like saying to everyone, just like, distract him. Take your time taking the gear out and like pretend that we're packing up, and we just like closed the door and we shot like the entire last scene in less than like 20 minutes. And then straight after that we were out the door, we were on the street. That was a wild night. That was an 18-hour night as well, 18-hour shoot. All nights, yeah, except for a few little shots here and there which we cheated, which would just basically be like we'd shoot at in the afternoon, one scene in the afternoon in a room, and then we'd move into the nighttime stuff. So, but basically all at night. And the budget too. That was the other surprising thing after writing the script is, you know, oh, we'll set it at night. That'll be really beautiful and moody. And then you're shooting with anamorphic lenses, you need like 6 times more the light than usual. And so we had to get more lights from the gaffer and shoot at specific times. It was a challenge shooting at night, but it's worth it in the end. Like and shooting digital at night in black and white is so much better than shooting in the daytime with digital. There's something about the skin tones and everything that makes it look a little bit more like film, or just a little bit more cinematic, less digital. I find even with black and white films, digital black and white films, when they shoot in the sunlight during the day, it just kind of feels a bit funny. It doesn't feel, you're watching a digital film, but at night, you kind of get away with it. Maybe it's the grain in the image or something, but Carl would be able to explain it better, but it just feels right. Time, mostly. Time is the killer of this whole film thing. If we had a bit more time, anything kind of is possible, but there's also the challenge. It really gets you motivated. And if we had, I guess if you had all night to shoot something, you might just take all night and fuck around, really not knowing what you're doing, but intuition really just kicks in when you've got no time. Suddenly you're coming up with more ideas than you would if you did have time. And just working under pressure is figuring out if you can actually do it. When everyone's asking you a million questions and you have no time at all to do something. Some of those times I'm surprised I didn't just crack. So it was almost a good confidence thing to go, okay, if I can do this, I can do a lot more. So we're editing right now. I edit with Charles Ivory, who did Observance. So I worked with Film Graphics Entertainment when I was younger and met him. I was an edit assistant and met him. He was one of the editors. And we just instantly became friends. He's just like the biggest movie buff I've ever met. He owns every single Criterion film. He's just a nutcase. He's completely insane. And I liked this. And when Observance came to be, I'm like, we have to get Charles. And he had never done a feature before. He just did ads and short films and things. So we got Charles on this, and he just essentially saved the entire project. He's just like a very intuitive editor, just like a completely creative editor, just absorbed straight into the world of the project and just figures things out. And sometimes you don't even know how he does it. But we worked very close on Observance. So when it came to starting this one, it's so much fun. And again, it's that thing of challenging each other. So I'd come in with a very specific idea of how I want the scene to work, and he'll just completely throw that out the window and say, well, that's crap. Why would you do it like that? Why are you keeping that shot so long? It's pretentious. And I'd be like, ugh, you're right. Or sometimes I'd be like, you're completely wrong. And then we would kind of come together and then we'd have it. So that's how it's working at the moment. And I love working like that, and having a bit of a positive, negative energy going when you're doing anything. Again, it's just the challenge, and yeah. He's an intuitive editor, and that's any sort of intuitive person, I'm straight there. Basically, because that's just how I understand things. If things get too technical and convoluted, it feels like it's meaningless, like it's overly complicated or something. So yeah, he's great. He's great. And then for the other post process, it's just we haven't got anyone just yet, but I think Carl will be heavily involved with the color grade on this one, for the black and white. Because when we shot a lot of things, he kind of knew what had to be, had come down, or what contrast had to come up, and specific light was, we would shoot some things a little bit in the day, and I kind of really trust the DOP with that sort of side of things. I'll obviously be there to have my opinions if I don't like something, but I really do trust the DOP when it comes to the color grade. I haven't got any specific festivals in mind just yet, because I don't want to torture myself. This film could take another couple of months, or it could take another year, I don't know. And I don't want to say we're going to go for Sundance and then we've missed the deadline or something like that, or the deadline's in like a week and then you're rushing. So I just want to finish the film first, make it as good as it can be until I'm happy, and then start looking at festivals, just so I'm not thinking just about release, because it's been such a long while anyway, it would be ridiculous to just rush the end of it. So I just want to get it right, and then I'll start thinking about festivals and what suits and everything like this. I know it can be very tempting to just, you have the film in the can and to rush for festivals. And a lot of people will throw their offlines into the festivals just to get in, and it kind of can just ruin everything. Yeah. So it's best to wait until you're happy with the film and then start showing it off, rather than rushing things and you just end up wasting your time and money, a lot of money too, and applying for festivals. And I think it's very important to just focus on the film being the best it can be, then start looking at festivals. I mean, that's not the way to do it, it's just how I feel comfortable doing it. Especially if you've worked so hard on something, don't throw it all away just so you can apply for a festival that you're probably not even going to get into anyway. Just whoever likes the film is going to take it in the end. So just make it good. That was what I guess I'm most proud of, with that Sam and I were able to actually not give up. And there were so many opportunities to just give up and do something else. And many people would just be like, why are you doing this? Like, you're literally torturing yourself. You're going insane for what? And we never even spoke about giving up, me and Sam. We just knew that we had to do it. And I think it's a sort of just not stopping something you've already started, It felt, and it was just like, if we give up on this, the world wins. The man wins, and that would have been kind of a horrible thing to live with. I think I would have regretted it a lot if we didn't, even if the film was absolute trash. At least we fought it, and we fought the fight instead of giving up. And yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge of just this whole industry of working in film, is you need to really persevere and suffer through so many terrible things. And if you give up, it's done. But if you just keep going, eventually you're going to get there. But you are going, and it's just life. That's exactly what life is, You could end it in an instant. But you've got to keep fighting through the pain to get to the good parts. It's the only way. The most satisfying for me was the actual doing. Like, in all of, in even just artwork and in anything, the act of doing is what it's all about. Like, I love actually doing it. So when you're on set and you're being creative and talking to the actors, coming up with ideas, and you're in that world and you're seeing it all come together, that's where it's at. Like, that's the most important thing. Even if it's a big experiment and it's all going to be crap, it's still enjoyable. Like, you just must enjoy doing it, the actual doing it, not the what's going to come after it, do it, even the before stuff of thinking of doing it. You've got to love doing it, and I really do. I really think that's quite important for me, at least. Because if I just don't, when I think of filmmaking and art and things, I don't have any interest really in anything before or after. It's just the actual doing of it. It's the process that's actually the thing. It's the whole reason I ever got into it. And everything else kind of makes me a bit uncomfortable. I remember during observance when we had to do a lot of interviews and Q&As and talk about the film. Like 2 years later, it was like, what is this? It was just the most weird, stupid thing. And it was the opposite of filmmaking. It was just like, we had our hands in the dirt. There was black stuff and paint all over us when we were doing this film. And now we're wearing suits. Like, what is happening? That's not what filmmaking is. It's just, it was a bizarre thing. It is part of the work, weirdly. Like, yeah, I've come to kind of accept that. I still don't like it, but it's kind of just one of those things, you know, you have to do. That's the chore, and then you move on to doing the actual work again afterwards when you're doing another film. I think the best advice I could give is be patient. Yeah, don't give up on projects you're passionate about. Really try and say something about not about yourself, but just try and put your perspective on the world into your films. To me, if you don't, it's a complete waste of time. Why would you even bother making a film if it's got nothing to do with not you, but your experience and things like this? I think it's very important to try and use the medium as a way of expressing yourself, as a sort of artwork. If you look at it like that, years later you won't regret it. You'll see that you've kind of discovered something in yourself, or yeah, I think that's the most important thing to me, is just making a film that's meaningful to the filmmaker, rather than just making a film for the sake of making one. I couldn't make a film solely for entertainment. That would be like just a complete waste of time for me. It would have to be there'd have to be some sort of expression involved for it to be worthwhile. Me and Sam have a few projects we've been writing. We've had a few that are already written. We've written years ago, kind of still working on. All features now. We've gotten the short film idea out of our system. It was kind of just like a one-off thing, and now we're keen to pursue our feature scripts. So yeah, we're looking to just get those out there and start pitching and see if we can find anyone who's interested to actually shoot something that we've got. That's the next step. Yeah.